if you had to pick 5 apples that you had to come and plant here, what would
just
they be?
5? Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
now
just
for
5.
for us,
I'm taking a look at your building right now, and you guys are doing it with your own 2 hands.
We are. So we bought this place a little bit over a year ago. We bought it February 13th, 2020.
Okay.
So right before the pandemic happened. And it's been an exciting adventure since then. But when we bought it, it was an overgrown field. So there were like honeysuckle and there were a couple like small trees scattered throughout. But the first step was clearing it all. And we had to, by doing that, we got to know the lay of the land a little bit better. And soon after that, he built the driveway. And it was a little challenging because it was kind of wet at that point. And then
like this much mud.
It was pretty wet.
Well, then when you saw this, I mean, it was probably this time last year then, right? Essentially, so you were seeing it kind of in a similar situation, but more meadowy, maybe more mud, right?
Yeah, when we bought the place, it was we saw it at first in the fall, so after the leaves had fallen, when there was still snow on the ground. So we didn't really know what it looked like in the summer. And
yeah. So how do you I know it's sometimes hard because we've gone to see some property, our crew, and it's sometimes we're like, oh, can we envision this? So how were you when you got it? Were you just like, is this it? Or were you like, this is it? Like, how were you envisioning it?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I've got kind of a forestry background, so, the trees you were talking about earlier, there's a lot of oaks and stuff. It's really good wood, some of the best woods I've seen around. So that says the land is got, for me, like farming potential. It's good. We have an apple farm primarily, so we're looking at that. The hill isn't really a problem for that. It makes it a little challenging, but it's not like we're doing field work so much. It's mostly trees, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's 12 miles from our current place, which is really convenient, not through any towns or anything, just a quick drive, pretty drive up a nice valley. And it faces southwest, mainly.
Which is great.
That
for
was
your trees.
nice, yeah.
105 acres. And to get to it, you cross a little bridge.
We like the
bridge. Which is really fun. And there's this camp on it, this hunting camp with this old 50s, really kind of deluxe 50s trailer that's just got
it's in disrepair.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And we went in it and we play old time fiddle, and there was a poster for a local fiddler from 30 years ago hanging
my
on
God.
there. So
And we're like, it's meant to be!
Isn't it? It's amazing that you see these little
That literally
coincidences.
sealed the deal. We're like, that poster is why we bought this place.
Oh my God.
It definitely seemed right. I mean, we've thought about moving for many years.
Yeah.
And always kind of hemmed and hawed, and we've got a lot invested in our other place.
Yeah, and
So it's a hard move, but
tell me about that. What do you envision a transition look like? Because you do have mature trees at your other farm, right?
4,000 of them.
Yeah. So I mean, what does that look like, and how does that work for you? I know you're doing you've already grafted some trees. You said 900 trees?
Yep, we've grafted some trees. Last year when we decided to buy this place, we went on Craigslist and found a tree digger, a tree spade. It's a huge thing that's taller than me that mounts on the back of your tractor, and it has 2 kind of blades that dig into the ground. So you can actually, we can transplant some trees.
Oh my God,
I don't know if this
one of those.
I don't know if this is actually going to happen. Hopefully, I mean, we plan on transplanting some of our trees, some of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But there will definitely be some digging action.
Yeah.
The whole thing's evolved a bit too, because a month after we bought this, the COVID thing started.
Yeah.
So that's affected our business quite a bit and made us rely more on farming than we used to. So initially we were going to just restart the farm, maybe slightly smaller here, because we felt like we'd bit off a little more than we could chew.
Right.
Over the years. And then it evolved into maybe we actually need 2 farms to make it work.
And we had just planted a couple years ago.
We'll keep that farmland and sell our house.
Right. Okay. So you're kind of partitioning it off.
There'll be a uncertain few years of are we going to keep that farm going
Yeah.
too, or are we going to move everything to here, and what's life going to be like in a few years?
How do you deal with the uncertainty in your mind?
Not so well.
I deal with it pretty well.
You don't think about it.
We just kind of focus on what the task at hand.
Yeah.
So like we have so much going on here, like to work towards,
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, we need to do this. We need to now wire the house, or we
Yeah.
need to get the roof on before it snows. So like that's kind of how I deal with
avoid
it.
thinking about the big picture and just focus on lots of work.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you guys balance each other out a little bit. So.
Yeah. Also, we planted a couple years ago like 2,000 blueberry bushes at our other place.
Wow.
So we have to decide whether or not we're going to move those or keep them there. And the
Yeah.
idea was to have a U-pick. It's a really good location close to town, only
Right.
5 miles away from town. So it's really convenient for people to come and visit and pick blueberries. So they transplant really easily,
Yeah.
but it's also would be a lot of work to move them all.
Of course, of course. Well, it seems like, even though the transition could feel a little bit like purgatory, that it actually does give you some options when you have the time to actually think about them and, figure out like, well, what direction can we take in this? So I see it as a positive and not necessarily something that, feeling like complete uprootedness.
It's a lesson. I'm used to like planning everything out. I'm kind of a 5-year plan kind of a person.
Yeah,
And
I could empathize.
And so it's definitely challenging, but
the fly by your seat
you
of
just
the
gotta go with
pants.
it because you can identify the things that are certain. Like we need a place to live,
Right.
Yep.
and our leather business is how we make most of our income. Is doing quite well online, just not well locally because of the tourism situation.
Yeah.
So we can focus on those things and fill other things around it.
Yeah, and talk about that because you have a leather working business. You had done some pottery through a good portion of your life, and you do berries, it sounds like, and fruits like apples.
Yep.
So and where are your main markets?
We
was it?
We sell at the Ithaca Farmers
Ithaca
Market.
Farmers Market.
Okay.
We're there pretty much all year. We're not there in the winter right
Okay.
now, but from April till November, October. The market's outside from April until December, right
Yeah.
before Christmas. So that's our main outlet, and people from all over the world come to the farmers market. So it is so awesome. We don't have to travel, but people travel to see us. So it's amazing.
I think it's a great place in that, you get, the population of the county is 100,000 people, but on any given weekend in the summer, there's people from like 50 different countries talking to us. It's really
it's really cool.
It's like being in the middle of New York City just for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot too, because we we're home on the farm all week, and then we go to market, and it's like we're talking to like hundreds of people in a weekend. So it's
And
definitely,
do you like that?
yeah, we like it, but it's a lot of like.
And then I like not seeing anyone else all week long. Because it's like overwhelming. It's like you come home from market and you kind of have to stare at the wall for a while. But it's very exciting, and people's enthusiasm is great. You know, people seeing something for the first time. And we, with our leather bags, we'll sit there and sew the bags. They're all hand sewn, and we sit there and sew them with kind of a shoemaking technique. It's something most people haven't seen. And they're just fascinated. People from all over the world that haven't seen something being made, and they're like, wow, they're making them right here.
Yeah,
it's a great moment to
Yeah.
connect with people on crafts. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, when I first came to the area, I had no idea that people were craftspeople. I literally had no clue.
Yeah.
So the farmer's market was like my first introduction to the idea of like, wow, you can be a maker and have that be your living.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, well, it's just fabulous. It's fabulous that you have a community that you feel like supports and is enthused by the products that you make, and that could support you even during a time when you said COVID happened. How did that really affect you, and how did you feel like you had to pivot or transition through that amongst everything else that's going on?
Well, we really pivoted. So we have a nursery license, and we hadn't sold too many plants. But last year, when COVID happened, I was like, I'm gonna plant every seed I can find, and so we sold a lot of plants. And we were mainly a vegetable plant business in the spring, and we just kind of like pulled that out of the air. And that worked really well. And I grew.
People really wanted like desperately wanted plants to grow.
Yeah.
above
Yeah.
ground.
So like that was really
It's almost like a panicked kind of a thing on people's
Yeah, it
part.
wasn't just like milk and eggs and bread at the supermarket. It was like, I need to plant something into my
Yeah. So that was really cool. And we always graft apple trees and plant them in a nursery bed at home to fill in blank spots in the orchard. And he dug them up and he's like, I'm gonna put them in pots and we're gonna sell them.
People are into it.
So people bought our apple trees.
Yeah.
And he had some fig trees that he had propagated too, that we sold. So that was like the biggest pivot we did. And we also mainly sold online last year.
I mean, amazing, and amazing that you have like the energy for it as well. Like, you know what I mean? And like you have to be on your toes in situations like this. And not only that, like a farmer has to be on his or her toes all the time, but like in face of the changing climate and everything that's been happening, it sounds like you were able to like just really, as I was saying, like turn lemons into lemonade. So
We tried. I think it was
One
good. I mean,
advantage of having a lot of different things going at once. Sometimes it's really chaotic and like overwhelming, but when there is a change, or you can just do the thing that's working.
Yeah.
And like last year, we just, because we couldn't, get together with our friends and play music once or twice a week like we usually do, we put all that time into building this place.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a, pivot too. We pivoted from like seeing people regularly to like, oh, we're just gonna spend all of our time mowing down honeysuckle and like putting in fence posts.
I know what that feels like. The honeysuckle and multiflora rose. Which did you have any multiflora rose here?
A little bit, but not bad.
Okay, that's
Not-
good. This seems a little bit more secluded, for the multiflora rose.
Our other place had
They
a
were
bunch of it.
introduced as, as a hedge.
Ahead.
Why?
Well, you had mentioned this place that you got stuck in building this. Do you want to just take us around for a little
Sure,
tour and
sure.
tell
Yeah.
us like
Sure.
what you're thinking behind this?
Yeah.
So first of all, why did you decide to place the house right here? Because you have
Well-
almost
It's on
100
top of the
acres.
mountain.
Well, first of all, it's on top of the mountain. I've always had this fantasy of living on top of a mountain.
Where's this
and
the highest point?
That's the highest point behind you. But this is not a mountain, it's a hill.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of had a fantasy of living on top of a mountain, and I'm like, wow, this is almost like living on the top of a mountain, and we can have a farm here, so that's cool.
To some
But,
people, this would be a mountain.
But
It is kind of a cold, dark hollow down in the.
it is. But after we had kind of decided that we wanted to put our house here, it was all overgrown, like I said.
Yeah.
And Scott was kind of kicking around in the spot where we wanted to put the house, and he's like, wait, there's like an old foundation here. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, so no
wow.
one has ever lived here before, but someone had planned on building a house.
Yeah.
And they had like cinder block piers to build a house right in that same spot.
Oh
and
my
there's still
God.
one over there we could show you.
I
So it
would
was-
have like that would get my cogs turning and being like, what was the story?
Yeah, I know.
And
We
then
don't
you
know.
see the fiddler from the like
I don't know.
days ago.
But it's the same spot they chose, so it must be
my
a good
goodness.
spot. Okay, so this is our house, and
Yeah.
it's a very small house. It's not what people consider to be like a tiny house, but it's a small house. It's only 700.
Guy was like incredulous. He's like, only 750 square feet. Basement.
Yeah.
What about?
There's no basement because honestly, nothing ever good comes of a basement. Like there's no basement. There's no attic. Watch out for that. There's some
I
shins
had
here.
a ping pong table in the basement I grew up in.
But like they're always wet. They're always gross.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
This is going to be the entryway. The floor is going to be the finished floor. We poured a concrete slab and ground it down, and we're going to polish it, but it's really dirty right now. But we ground it down so you could see the stones.
That's so neat. Yeah,
So
that's a
yeah,
nice feature.
we're going to grind it more and polish it more.
After we're done making a mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how much are you going to polish it? Is it going to be like high polish, or is
I
it
don't
going to be
know.
like a
We're
little?
farmers. It's
Yeah.
gonna be like satin sheen. but if you, I mean, it's just they're really pretty,
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
And the cool thing, this house is actually kind of interesting because we ran out of money because we planned on having an income and we really didn't last year. So we're like, okay, we have some money saved up. We got to make it work.
Yeah.
And so instead of buying windows, we went all around central New York on Facebook Marketplace.
They're all
and
used.
got all used windows.
Oh my God!
They're all
Facebook
nice. They're like
Marketplace. That's the
Marvins and
second time we've
Anderson,
heard
like
that.
double pane windows.
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
look at that.
And
That's
everyone,
really nice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
everyone,
Nice. Yeah,
everyone
we
was
were
remodeling
pretty
this
high
year, and we
volume.
were like, yeah.
but we just got everything, and then we kind of designed the place around them, and the stones are from the gravel quarry 6 miles down the road. It's a friend of ours that runs the quarry, and he came
Yeah.
on Sundays to pour the concrete. Help us get done. in
I love
Yeah.
how
time.
scrappy you are and how
You should have
connected,
seen
yeah.
the last pour for the floor.
Yeah.
So like he said, it was a Sunday, and he came and got to the top of the hill with a truck, and he's like, he was late, an hour late, and he's
Yeah.
like, guys, I ran out of cement. And we're like, what the heck? Well, what do you mean you ran out of cement? He's like, there's no more cement. He has this huge like hopper thing that
Yeah.
like you load the truck, and he's like, I forgot to order cement, and we had no cement. When I don't think we have enough cement to pour your slab, and we could just pour some of it. And we're like, dude, no, this is gonna be a finished floor. We need
Yeah.
to do the whole thing at
Yeah.
once. So we went, we had a friend helping us, and we went to the hardware store down the road and bought 15 bags of cement and put them in our car. And our friend had come totally prepared. He had buckets, he had rope, he had so many tools, he had like rubber boots, he had like we used almost everything he brought.
Oh my
And we
God.
poured the cement in the buckets and hoisted them to the top of the truck and filled the truck with the cement from the hardware store, and we were able to pour the floor.
Oh
So that
my
was
God.
that was an adventure.
And
There's been a lot
probably
of this
And
summer.
also the
Like,
first,
a lot of
the,
skinny your teeth.
the
in
first,
town.
the first concrete pour for the barn, the truck sank into the dust. There was a serious drought last summer, and because it was a built-up pad, it didn't really, the soil didn't really compact.
Yeah.
On the downhill side, and the truck just sank down and like worked its way into the dust. And he had to have a huge loader from his quarry. He has a quarry down the road.
Yeah.
Come and pull him out.
Oh,
It was a really,
God.
it was an experience.
you're just like, okay, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, car sinks in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
It was good. It was hilarious. I can show
my
you pictures.
goodness. So how is it? I mean, you said you kind of built this home around the windows
We
that you
did,
found.
yeah.
But did you have architectural plans? Were you
So
kind of
he's
like,
built.
I had to because the building inspector required it. So
Yeah.
actually we had to find an engineer that would stamp them. But I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't have
He
anyone
reviewed
sign
them.
it. I
Yeah.
mean,
But Scott has in the past he built houses. He did like renovation work, and he built houses, and he's built multiple homesteads over the years. So he has experience designing things.
Yeah.
And I have some strong opinions on what I wanted.
how many times did you feel like you had to like rethink the plans?
It was a
mean-
lot. We wanted to make it as small as we possibly could, but also like fit what we needed
Yeah.
in our life. So we
Yeah.
like really looked at what the spaces in our current house that we use
Yeah.
and how we use them and how many square feet we actually use.
Yeah.
And we kind of went from there. And we did revise it many, many times.
About those black marbled composition books. I
Yeah.
used those, and I filled about half of one with plans, and I just kept
Yeah, iterating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to do that. And
Yeah.
then when you build it, it's different.
Yeah.
Like it's a little different here and there. 'Cause
Yeah.
You see it, but.
And then what made you choose pine?
So there's a local sawmill that I've been dealing with for a long time. I like the guys, and it's all local wood from the woods around here. And they saw pine and hemlock.
So the studs are all
So
hemlock.
the framing's all hemlock.
Frame is all
Okay.
It's a little
hemlock.
bit stronger.
Yeah.
And then the siding and the finish is pine.
Okay.
Because it's a little less splintery, easier to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like it better.
And they couldn't get logs. Like
Oh
we
yeah,
couldn't
actually
get.
we were going to do hemlock siding on the barn too,
Yeah.
but they couldn't get logs this summer. It's everything.
Everything
It's
got
been weird.
sucked
Every
up,
single
yeah.
thing, even it made its way into every corner where people those guys don't even know COVID's going on really.
Yeah.
It's but they're like, oh, you don't know why the guy couldn't get logs because the truck's broken and you can't get the parts for the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, pine siding would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like for everybody who's building at this time, you've had to just, make it work with whatever is available.
Well, one thing is so we were at the big box lumberyard the other day, and they're charging for an 8-foot 2x4. They want $7.50.
Yeah, the prices have gone through the
nuts.
roof, right?
But these are still the same price they've been for like the last 10 or 15 years. They're like $2.50 a piece.
Wow.
And they're bigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And they're
So you had to
local.
shop around a little bit, and
Well, it's just like you know, you
Just
have
something
to,
that you noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I mean, eventually the price will go up locally too.
Yeah.
I'm sure for those guys' sake, it probably should.
Yeah.
You know? But you have to be really careful when there's just weird things going on with the, you know, you make changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, then take us through, because
Yes.
this is the
Yeah.
opening.
Okay,
and
so this is
kind of.
The floor's going to be heated.
The floor's gonna be heated.
Oh, so
This
it's like
is
a radiant floor.
Yes.
radiant floor, yeah.
So we have we're going to have an outside boiler.
Deluxe
I know, and we
living in
have
the mountains.
yeah.
So the barn has the same. The barn has radiant floor too.
That's great.
Yep.
I
So it'll be an
kinda feel
outside
like-
boiler
Some of
that
the
feeds
greenhouses
both.
that
Yeah.
way too. We just
Yeah.
have a big wood-fired boiler.
Yeah, like our plant starting greenhouse is going to be. It's going to have radiant heated benches, and I
Oh,
can't
that's
wait.
so good.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, so this is the entryway, and that's going to just be the utility room.
Okay.
So there'll be a door there and a door here, and so we can like hang up all of our farm coats and farm boots, and like
Yeah.
keep the mud out of the house. Hopefully, I hope. And then this is going to be like the living room, and that's the kitchen there, and it's it's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great. And we're gonna have a little porch off, right where you come in,
Yeah.
here and here. And there's going to be a wraparound deck on the whole front.
Very nice.
On the south side there. And there's gonna be a wood stove here, as you can see. And this is the bathroom. And we still have to there wasn't a way to pour the concrete slab and also pour the shower. The shower is going to be stepped down a little bit.
Right.
So we still have to pour the shower, and we're just gonna we bought a few bags of concrete that we can just mix up on our own. But there's a heating floor heating pipes in the shower.
I
So
saw that. I was
it's
like,
gonna
is
be
that-
amazing.
Crazy.
Nice, warm, heated shower. It's gonna be deluxe. And this is the bedroom, and it's a nice little bedroom, couple closets, and has a really low ceiling so that there's a storage loft over there. The rest of the house has a nice high ceiling, but we have a lot of stuff, and we're definitely gonna have to.
Make it feel cozy in the bedroom.
Yeah, it makes it feel kind of cozy in here too.
And look at these windows, they're really nice.
I know, those windows came out of
Italian restaurant in Elmira.
Yeah.
An Italian restaurant in
Yes.
Elmira?
Yeah.
You need to like document every single thing so that it has like a little story
know.
behind it.
It was really great.
Wow, good on you. Do both of these windows?
Yep. And
Oh,
then there's
wow.
another
There's
one
actually
in the
four.
kitchen, two in the kitchen
Wow.
that match.
Good on you.
And then this is gonna be another little bedroom.
I have a daughter.
He has
that's with
three-
me just for
Yeah.
3 days a week. So
He
Yeah.
has 3 daughters, and there's
Before she
one left.
graduates.
Yeah.
So she'll live there.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, fantastic.
In a little house, we tried to like the high ceilings, and the ceiling height variety actually really adds to it. I think like when it's small, so that it doesn't feel small, you can afford to do some things.
Yeah.
Like the beams aren't really structurally necessary technically,
Right.
but making them there makes it just like takes it to another level.
Yeah.
And I love how you did some of the wood pegs too.
Yeah.
They're actually, I used to timber frame just like whole buildings that way.
Yeah.
But our other house, like his
Just a little
old
bit,
house,
right?
was built out of reclaimed materials and timber frame farms and stuff.
Yeah.
And our other house back in Burtondale is kind of an interesting structure too. It's built out of these like recycled styrofoam and concrete, like big, huge blocks. So this is a little bit unusual for him in terms of building.
Yeah.
He doesn't usually build stick-built houses.
Yeah. Well, it's
But-
kind of a nice mix of multiple different types of
Yeah.
things all in
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And I'm assuming you went a little bit higher over here for some of that sunlight to come
Yes.
through a little.
And just,
Yep.
well, it's just keeping the roof simple. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of most shed roof houses, but I'm kind of coming around to it,
Well, you
and,
better because you're going to be living
I
in
know.
but I feel like it works this way, and you kind of, it made the roof really easy.
It was
which
so
was
easy.
good because we were finishing it in December, early
It was like a
January.
month ago that we were putting the
January,
wood.
and it was really winter, and we're up to actually literally shoveling snow off every day and like slipping around and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's pretty flat, and it's just one rectangle,
Yeah.
and that made it quicker and cheaper.
And the way he
And
designed
then you make
it.
the inside kind of, askew to that rectangle, so that you don't notice that you're just in a big rectangle.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
kitchen is kind of a bump out, but it's a rectangle because the porches on either side of the kitchen make it a rectangle. So it's kind of cool.
And we found those windows, so you gotta that had to be a wall.
Yeah.
So
Those actually came from just over that hill right there.
I mean,
they
we're-
came from like 5 miles that way.
We're looking at replacing 30-year-old windows in our place for a lot of different reasons, but that's so they're so expensive to even think about it. So the fact that you were able to get these for free or next to nothing is just so scrappy and just shows how smart you could be and you could kind of build around them, you know what I mean? Which causes a little bit more stress perhaps, but
I think it was more fun. It's better, it's easier
We drove all around parts of Western and Central New York I never go to.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it's kind of like a forgotten land here. It's really different than Ithaca. And people are really nice everywhere that we met. And it's just, it was kind of fun.
So the whole front is, under that roof there's going to be a little porch, and then around the whole front there's going to be a wraparound deck.
Yeah.
So
is it going to be elevated somewhat in some areas, or
basically,
Pretty much level with the top of the concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll feel elevated, but mostly because the house is on this level pad here.
Yeah.
So
I got to move dirt around.
yeah, we still have more site work to do.
It's more the driveway is narrow, as you can see. It's gonna get a little wider.
We have to fix the bulldozer before we can do any more
You're
groundwork here.
You're gonna feel like you're one with the bulldozer, like it's just an extension of you, you know?
I've got a home half taken apart right now.
Oh yeah.
So
this is the barn.
This is larger than your house. You could fit your house
You
in
could fit
here.
the house in the barn.
The barn
Yeah.
should be larger.
It always should be
around
larger.
Here, most people seem to have garages and shops that are bigger than their trailer.
I have
And there's a
noticed
reason.
that. Yeah. Just to get away from the wife, though, right?
Yeah, I think so. I know. I'm like,
Just kidding. Sometimes people don't know when I'm joking.
no. Oh yeah. No, we get that.
Like most pole barns, you'd have the post, and then you'd have the 2x4 girts like this, and then metal siding, or if you did boards, most people would nail the siding boards to this, and then they'd put batten boards outside the siding. But if you put the batten on first, not only does it look nice, but it makes the wall a little thicker, and it actually gives it a lot of structural stiffness, because the batten is almost like a stud. And this 1x4 from the local mill is actually almost as big as a 2x4 from Lowe's.
Yeah.
So it's just very, very structural. It creates a natural airspace. When we put some insulation in here, the siding has a space behind it so that it can dry out if it gets damp. If a little bit of rain gets past the battens, it's got room to dry out there.
And your plan is to actually insulate all of this and not just use this as shelves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan.
Which could be nice too. I love shelves. I know.
There will be shelves built
And
into
that
it.
up there is going to be filled in with polycarbonate.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it'll be it's kind of like thick double wall polycarbonate. They use it for end walls on greenhouses.
Or like a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be a nice big, natural light window at the top.
Yeah, and then that's facing north.
That's facing north.
So you'll just have kind of a nice gentle light coming through.
Oh,
and
that's the idea.
diffused.
Yeah, a little weird to orient the building north instead of south, but
Right.
we weren't attempting to get solar gain in here. We do have the nice windows there, and we didn't want such a high ceiling in the leather shop would be kind of a waste.
Yeah.
Whereas there, it's going to be really nice. I weld a lot, and the smoke, the fumes will go up, and it's just
And then we
a high
use,
ceiling shop is
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Long pieces of wood and just maneuvering things.
So it seems counterintuitive to put the roof this way
Yeah.
because you're not gaining the south.
Yeah.
On this house, it is.
But yeah, the house is, which actually creates a nice symmetry now.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
This opposite roof structure.
Another thing that we screwed up previously that we're not going to screw up this time, we promised ourselves, is they're all metal roofs, and they're all going to dump away from where we need to plow or walk.
Well, that
Because
That makes a lot of sense,
because-
actually.
if you have a roof like this and you come in on the eave side,
Yeah.
there's no way to avoid rain,
Yeah.
huge piles of snow in a
Yeah.
year like this that you
That
have
makes
to
so much
walk over
sense,
and
yeah.
through. If you come in the gable end, it's better.
Yeah.
But in a building like this, we're gonna have barnyard around here. We'll have equipment. It'll be like a parking lot with equipment and tractors and stuff. And we want it to be so that all the snow goes
away from the yard.
away from all that area
Yeah.
that we're trying to keep plowed. So that's another reason why the roof going this way.
Yeah.
That's
Makes
clever.
sense.
Wow.
Definitely had a good try.
We've done it a lot of
for
times.
trying that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah, and
You'll
then
see it our other place.
Yeah, there's literally like snow right by our door. Like there's a tiny little path to get to our house.
and I know you mentioned like the metal roof, and I feel like a lot of people are moving towards metal roofs. Is it just like no fuss for you, or like what do you
So when
feel about?
when I built my first house for me in 1994, I went to the place. I was working at a farm, kind of a mentor guy, and he put metal roofs on everything. And I went to the same place, that they make it in Cortland, and ordered a metal roof. And they're like, "Wow, you're only like the second person that's ever wanted to put this on a house." And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't you?" And they're like, "No, it's good." And then the building inspector was funny with it, and everyone was just kind of funny with it. And everyone was like, "Why would you do that? It's like a shed roof." And I'm like, "It's recyclable. It goes on in a couple hours. It comes off in a couple hours. It gets made into more metal roofing. There's no garbage, and it sounds nice when it rains.
It lasts for a long
It
time.
Yeah, it lasts
for
a long
50
time.
years,
Yeah.
and it's not made of oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah, like this whole barn roof, it only took us 4 hours to put the metal roofing on.
So
Amazing.
ever since then, I put them on everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I started out, that roof was like a colored one, and now after that, I just do the galvanized color. And I feel like it blends in with the sky really well, and it like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a mirror, like
Yeah.
a fuzzy mirror that
Yeah.
like kind of blends in.
Yeah.
And when we're ready to move, we're kind of thinking how that's going to work. We have like
We have a lot of stuff.
a lot
Yeah.
of stuff because we have a farm and 2 businesses.
Right.
And it's
And you never get rid of anything, probably.
He
no,
doesn't get
because
rid of
that's my
anything.
nature. I'm a hoarder. So
Not like really bad, but like,
no,
Yeah.
not
you know,
like garbage,
farm level
but like
hoarding.
It's made out of metal. It,
Yeah.
it goes behind the shed in a pile.
And then he does use it. He'll like, he'll be like, oh, I'm
You
gonna go
always
use this
wanna
thing
have
to.
it. It's true.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes.
Totally.
I Mad
Yeah.
Max stuff all
He's
the time.
he's good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have all your myriad, businesses, like if you have your leather working and everything, you want to have a place where you could photograph them as
Yep,
well
that-
as well as making them.
We can't be without a leather shop.
Yeah.
For more than like a week. 'Cause
Yeah.
We have orders coming in.
Yeah.
So the idea is that this side of it here with the windows and the nice view will be our new leather shop. And we'll clear, the ceiling's already insulated
Yeah.
quite thoroughly.
We gotta insulate the walls. So.
Yeah.
So we'll insulate the walls and divide it out.
Yeah, we're gonna build a wall here to divide it, divide the barn into 2 sections.
Yeah.
And before we move, we'll have to finish this off and get the leather shop going here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we could move to the house and we can put a lot of stuff in this room. And this eventually will be the place where I fix the tractors and where we do woodworking projects and stuff, just an all around shop. And then we need to build a couple more buildings, not quite this big.
Yep.
One, we call it the cider mill. I mean, we don't really press cider right now. It's just where we have
Where we store the
a
apples
big
and where we
walk-in
store the
cooler
crates.
and where we pack apples and stuff.
And do you have that now?
We have that now in
Okay.
Brookton, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
And then we have a decent sized like equipment shed. We've got like 6 tractors.
And the idea with this barn is on the north side, on that side of that big wall right there,
Yeah.
we're going to put another shed, and that's where the tractors will go.
Yeah,
Some of the
all
tractors.
all the storage of the vehicles and stuff. Now, take me through like what a leather workshop looks like. Do you just need like a big table? Do you need a place to put your tools?
Yeah.
Or what
Yeah.
other equipment do you have?
So we have, the
About
equipment.
100 of these drawers
Yeah.
that hold different
We have
buckles and stuff.
Right.
And then we have hundreds of patterns. We design everything, so we make paper patterns for everything. So we have a lot of patterns. I make shoes, so that's kind of a new thing. So we have quite a few drawers with different sizes of shoes, like all the parts as they're in progress, or airbags or whatever. We'll just be
Yeah.
like, we'll pre-make up a bunch of one size of something, and then they'll get organized.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah,
Otherwise,
and then
you
like
lose everything.
racks to store leather. You don't want to store leather in the sunlight, so
There's like hundreds of belts and stuff.
I've got hundreds of
Especially
belts.
in the winter when
Yeah.
she's working on making stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes almost none in the
Yeah.
summer.
Well, just like, sorry to backtrack here, but you had mentioned when you first came here, you didn't realize like somebody could be a maker, and that was a really eye-opening for you.
Yeah.
So did you ever make things before you came here, and how did you get introduced to it?
Yeah. As a kid, I made random stuff like all the time. I was like, we didn't have TV growing up, so I was just always making stuff, like sewing or just making things out of sticks or like clothespins or literally anything I could find.
Yeah.
And when I came to Ithaca, I came to here for Cornell. We both did. And I met a leather worker who sold at the farmer's market, and I started working with him, and it kind of made me like opened my eyes to how I learned.
Yeah.
And I learned way better, like hands-on. And so I'm at Cornell, like sitting in classes, and then I would go, you know, like having a hard time just sitting there in a lecture hall, in a dark lecture hall, away from the beautiful sunlight and like the world. And then I'd go and like make stuff on the weekends and evenings, and I'd be like, wow, this is so awesome. So that's how I got into leatherwork. But he sadly died, Coco, my dear friend Coco. He got cancer and died. Which about, what year is this? Yeah, he died 10 years ago.
Wow.
So, and
Coco was really sweet.
He was so
He
sweet.
was so sad. He was like...
Was that his real name or was it his nickname?
Jacques Coco Ribot.
Yeah.
Oh my
Same as
gosh,
Jacques, but he went by
amazing.
Coco.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he was this little, like, clown-haired Moroccan Jewish guy
Yeah.
that just like had
was-
this giant personality.
He was,
Oh.
yeah,
so
he was
generous,
amazing.
and he was there really early in the morning setting up, and he was just like
He was also an
everybody.
electrician too, so
Yeah.
he did that on the side.
It's
But,
amazing the characters that come out and how they endear themselves to the community, and
It was
we could all be so hopeful of that, you know? Yeah.
Anyway, so he got into leatherworking because I was kind of doing it. Yeah. And we kind of built up.
Like, it seemed like there was potential there because Coco
feigned
passed away, and then
interest,
people were
and
like,
then-
"Where's the leather?" You know,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
so
like-
you filled
Might be
a
different.
hole in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you carried on a little Coco's legacy.
I did.
Yeah.
She did,
Yeah.
And like people bring his purses and like sometimes his belts and wallets and say like, oh, can you
Aw.
fix this? So like, yeah, that's like part of it too. It's like
That's
fixing
awesome.
things that he made. So that's
Yeah.
making
awesome.
belts for the guys that he made belts for
Yeah.
20 years, and like, yeah.
That's such a precious story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's nice to like carry that on.
All right. So they made significant progress on the road. Because last time we were here, we had to park down at the base. Looks pretty good. Can't wait to see what they've built up on the hill.
Yeah, so we ground this down with successive grits of diamond pads.
And
We're
it's
pretty
still
happy.
kinda-
It's not perfect, but we're pretty happy with
pretty
it. I wouldn't want it more slippery when it's wet. It's really slippery now.
Yeah.
And we're going to like oil it or buff it with wax or something so it's kind of darker.
So how are you managing this? Because you said that raspberries need to be picked and you're going to go to the farmer's market. Like,
It's really stressful.
Really stressful right now.
It's kind of nuts. Yeah, we have our other whole farm that we're trying to manage. And this whole farm, we planted this farm. Yeah, so it's a lot. It's really a lot. And especially now that it's berry season. I mean, the first berries of the year we're definitely going to pick because if you don't pick the first berries of the year, it gets successively harder to pick them because you have like overripe berries mixed in with the berries that are just ripening.
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to pick them all this year just because we have so much to do.
but this looks great. I mean, look at how you. Are these all your apple trees, and you have some berry bushes here?
Yeah, those are
there's
blueberries we
there
transplanted.
that we moved.
And there's some currants and grapes. And down over there,
Pears,
pears, and those are baby apples. And we planted some asparagus and
More
some
apples,
raspberries
so you can't
here.
see over the hump there.
But this hump is our septic, and Scott did a good job grading it in. So
You said you seeded it just now.
yeah, we just seeded it like a week ago.
What are you seeding?
Just grass.
Grass.
I mean, it's a septic. You pretty much have to just grow grass on top of your septic, and it's a sand filter, which is
You got to mound it.
well, it's not a mound. Luckily, he let me not do a mound. It drains off, but above it, uphill of it here, there's a very deep trench with gravel in it,
Filled
and a
with
drainage
gravel.
pipe that goes all the way out that way.
Yeah.
To intercept any water that might come into it.
Right.
And it's on the sand filter right now. It's just
Yeah, so
like
that's the
kind of
sand
it's like a
filter.
15 by 20 foot,
And then there's a
4 foot deep
2-compartment tank.
a hole that's like a big lasagna of different layers of sand and gravel and pipes and stuff. And
Yeah, we moved the fence a little bit. So the fence was in a temporary
Yeah,
spot, kind
that's
of
true.
kind of diagonally behind the barn and behind the house. But yeah, we kind of moved it out, and it's actually attached to the house over there. And this is still a temporary fence between the house and the barn.
Okay.
We're gonna build a little bit more of a shed off the south end of the barn for wood and things like that. And so we're gonna maybe put some sort of aesthetically pleasing fence or something here, so it's not just
like a wrought iron fence.
or like an arbor, or something nice, so it's not just a plain deer fence attached to our house.
Even if you said there's not been much progress or whatever, I mean, I could see and appreciate all the work that has gone in. I mean, even with the hundreds of trees that you've planted there, it's ridiculous. And the moving of the fence, like we're even thinking about putting in a fence. I can't even think about moving it after you put it in.
It was a little daunting.
The trellis post,
The trellis,
that's
that
more
was-
work. I mean,
that
look how
was
many
crazy.
posts there are there.
Do you guys want to walk down to the apples?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and I was literally doing that when it was like 85 degrees. It was so hot.
And are these all the stones you're excavating?
Those are, we saved
So this all
all-
came, so we're walking down the ditch, the electric
Yeah,
trench.
this is where the electric and all the
So
utilities
I
come
did
up.
2,000 feet of trenching
Wow.
in like 10 days with the excavator. And it's all the way down to the road, basically. All the way down through the woods and stuff past here. And it had a thumb, you know, the extra thing in the
Yeah.
back. And I'm pretty good with the excavator, but I hadn't practiced with the thumb much. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick the rocks to like get good at that.
So we have a pile
So
of rocks
like
that
as
we
I
saved
went,
out.
I got so I could
build like stone walls and things
pick up
like
the
that.
square rocks, you know, those are all like have two parallel faces.
There were
at
a lot
least.
of rocks. This is damn it, it's weedy again. I need to asparagus. I need to go through it and weed it again and sort of hill it up, and then we're gonna mulch it. But yeah, you can see the one variety. We got 3 different varieties from a couple of different nurseries, and the one variety is doing really well, and the other ones.
What are the varieties?
Millennium is the one
on the
that's
right
doing
there.
really well, and then
These are Purple Passion.
Purple Passion, and what was the third?
These are the
Yeah.
purple ones. This one, they're supposed to be smaller. I think that's okay. And then down
you
at
can
the other
still-
end
you
is
can
some
kinda see
other
the purple down there.
I
can't remember the
Jersey Giant or something, you know.
They like didn't
Something
come
like
up at all.
that.
There were some.
No, they're all up now.
Oh yeah, they're up.
Yeah, but they're just
Okay.
like really, they're like wimpy.
These are raspberries, and we made these like 1/4 acre blocks here for annual crops, and the idea is because raspberries get fungal diseases, we want to rotate them every few years. So we just like tilled up and cover cropped this whole block, and then planted raspberries, and then we went through and planted grass again last week before it rained. So, I ran out of mulch, so I only mulched half of it.
Grass came up.
But
Like
it still-
5
it
years
still
from now,
came
we'll
up.
till it all up and we'll plant cover crop again, and then we'll do garlic there or something for a year, you know.
Yeah. And then in the other blocks, we have mostly peas and oats, which are starting to flower now. And then this lower block here, I have sunflowers, which is very exciting. But in a
They've
couple
actually got
spots,
full pea pods on them in spots when I was mowing. I just noticed.
so these are our young apple trees. We grafted them last year, and we planted them this spring. And I went through, I didn't do all of them yet, but we went through and clipped them, most of them up. We clipped them to the trellis wire with these metal clips here, and then we used clothespins to clip down the branches to develop a good crotch angle, it's called. And then also we use clothespins on the end of the branches to weight down the branches. So they're nice and horizontal.
I was looking for clothespins the other day, and I now I know who cleared us out.
We bought
any this year, but we have like
you buy
we
them
have
from
like
Target.com,
7 or 8
they're the-
5-gallon
they're like
buckets
the
of clothespins.
They're the biggest size for the best deal. At least they used to be. Like the ones from Walmart were really small but cheap, and then Bed Bath & Beyond, they were huge, but they were so expensive. We've like cleared out, not this year, but in other years we've cleared out the whole town of
Like the
clothespins.
things that you never knew you'd become an expert in.
Yeah. And these are my sunflowers. They didn't come up where it was really wet. There's when we bought this land, hunters had been driving up kind of past us there, and they'd rutted up the field all the way up. And
Yeah, actually, that trench there
it's
is
kind
where
of
they
a
were
trench.
driving, and there's actually like a foot of soil missing from like 8 feet
From
wide,
eroding.
just from all the erosion.
But
that they
also it
caused.
acts as a channel to sort of funnel the water down. So it was really wet there this spring. So where it wasn't really wet, the sunflowers germinated really well. Where it was wet, they didn't really germinate.
And it's a fun tip. These are just bird seed.
Birds, it was
Cheapest cover crop seed ever.
And we're gonna put a sort of earth bermed greenhouse right here, seed starting greenhouse. And we're probably gonna build that out of wood or like wood, we don't exactly know.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of like retaining wall. We've been looking into gate-in baskets or like maybe concrete or something. And then a wood top with polycarbonate, like thick polycarbonate. Should we show you the blueberries that we transplanted? Because
my
it's
God.
kind of interesting.
Did
They look great. I mean, Scott dug up these huge blueberry bushes with the tractor when it was really, really rainy this spring, and he bundled the roots up with plastic, just kind of put them in the truck, drove them over here, and we augered some holes with the tractor and then widened them out with a shovel.
Did you do that in spring?
Yeah, in the spring. And it was,
Yeah,
like,
we tried to do
pouring
all the
rain.
transplanting during like the muddiest, rainiest, coldest weather we could find.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because roots are like roots will be damaged in just seconds if they dry out. You know, and then plants, like you always damage a bunch of roots when you transplant, and you want the plant to not have so much transpiration loss until it can regrow some stuff. Roots have roots put chemicals out, like salts that go into the soil around the root, and that osmotically pushes water into the root. It's not all just in the root. Like the root excretes stuff that make the water want to go from the soil into the root. And so if you dig up a plant and transplant it, it doesn't have that, so the roots can't get water right away. And then, if it's like today, windy and like sunny, the plant just, dries up. But these are
These are the big ones.
Almost ready.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like we moved
total
these.
success on this. Yeah.
We literally moved these.
I
this
just dug them up
spring.
with a bucket loader and a tractor.
It's like an instant blueberry farm. The other ones are pretty small. We only moved some of the bigger ones, but yeah, I mean they have really shallow roots. Oh, you little jerks.
Whenever you see Japanese beetles, they're humping.
Yeah, I know. They really are. We were talking about that right before you got
Time
here.
to eat.
While they're
Well, they're probably doing it
think it's-
as
yeah.
they eat. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Oh, this looks incredible. Well done. And then do you have to acidify the soil here, or what's your pH?
Not here, I don't think we do, but there's a lot of wild blueberries growing right up in the woods there, the short ones. Yeah, the little ones. Crystal just fertilized these with some ammonium sulfate, which is like a little bit of acidification, and it has the form of nitrogen that blueberries can get. No, they can't. Most fertilizers they won't take up. We'll keep an eye on it. The wood chips, just a more organic matter, humic acid, I think tends to make it more acid. But we'll test it next year. If we need, we'll add sulfur. Or other place we have to add sulfur.
We're glad it rained though because it had gotten quite dry.
Thank you guys for giving us a grand tour. Maybe in a few months it'll be all done and
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to be done not done, but get our certificate of occupancy